Well, we're continuing our march through sequences and series. We've now come to chapter section 10-5, recursion and iteration. And we're first going to look at some recursion formulas. Now, in a recursive sequence, each term is determined by one or more of the previous terms. So we're still dealing with sequences. But now we're going to look at them in terms of as a function, if you will. So, once again, let me say, when we got a recursive formula, that means that each term is determined by one or more of the previous terms. Also, when we have a recursive formula, the initial term must be given. So let's look at what we've got here to get this practicality. Now this is, if you go to page 692 in the textbook, I'm looking at example 1. Use a recursive formula, and we're asked to find the first 5 terms of the sequence in which A1 equals 8, and our recursive formula is AN plus 1 equals -3 times AN plus 6 if n is greater than or equal to 1. So in this case, n is 1. Our first term is 8. And so in this first 5 terms of the sequence, we already know what A1 is. It is 8. And so what we've got to find here is terms 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we're going to do that by plugging in 8 initially into this recursive formula right here, solve for that, and then we're going to take our solution and we're going to plug it right back into that same formula until we get our 5 terms. So let's approach it this way. Let's first find A2. Well, A2 is going to equal -3 times 8 plus 6. And let's see, -3 times 8 is going to give me -24 plus 6 is then going to result in -18. All right. Now to find A3, third term in the sequence, I'm going to take that same formula, except this time rather than plugging in 8, I'm going to plug in -18 plus 6. Let's see, -3 times 18 plus 6. What is -3 times 18? And that is 54. So 54 plus 6, easy enough. It's going to give me 60. Now to find A4, to find the fourth term in this sequence, again, I'm going to plug it right back into that same formula. So now I got -3 times 60 plus 6. And -3 times 60 is going to give me -180. And we're going to add 6 to that. So that's going to give me -174, I believe. Doing that in my head. I hope I'm right. Yeah, I think I am. And then finally, we're going to find the fifth term of this recursive sequence, or using the recursive formula of -3. And again, I'm going to plug in -174. And we're going to add 6 to that once we solve it. Okay, let's see. I'm not going to be able to do -3 times -174, excuse me, in my head, -174. That comes to 522. 522 plus 6 equals 528. And to summarize all that, my first 5 terms in this recursive formula of -3an plus 6 is 8 is the first term. We were given that. -18, positive 60, -174, and positive 5 28. Boom, Shazam. That's how we find the first 5 terms of a sequence. When we're given the first term, we're given the recursive formula. We plug in the initial term into the formula, solve it, take our solution, put it back into the recursive formula, keep repeating that until we've got all 5 terms determined, summarize it, and Shazam, you are done.